Hello, Urban Media. This is Ziggy Zidane calling live from Toronto to talk to you about Sudan.
So, can you describe a little bit about the current climate in Sudan? Because I find that I'm quite ignorant to what's going on.
Sure. So Sudan, like many African countries, has had corrupt government systems for decades. We've had a dictator, Omar Bashir, for about 30 years since like, I was 1 year old when he came to power. Um, and him and like the ruling party were, kind of profiting off the people's property. They were basically, stealing money that should have been going to infrastructure. Over the last 30 years, Sudan has really deteriorated from what was once, a potentially developing country to a real third world country. So since Christmas, basically, protests started happening, peaceful protests, because the inflation has gone crazy. People were paying three times the price for bread. There'd be no more fuel in the city or gas in the city. So like cars would have to queue up all day just to get some gas. It was an absolute mess. Finally, then in April, um, April was beautiful. Like a million people were marching every day and staying in the army headquarters, sitting in, singing, revolutionary chants, being peaceful, like, creating all this amazing revolutionary art. And then after a lot of pressure, the president of 30 years was ousted. And that kind of like gave a lot of hope to most people. What happened then, though, is he was replaced by someone who we think is way worse. This guy's called Hemeti, and he's a leader of like a private militia group that are responsible for crazy atrocities in Darfur. Like he's a terrible human being, like a James Bond supervillain. So the people stayed in the army headquarters to protest that. They were wanting a civilian government instead of this military government that's being led by Hemeti. And you have to realize that up to this point, the protest was so peaceful. It was like you see all these videos of like everyone singing, like they'd be like people like just being so happy, like it was absolutely beautiful, and the army wasn't doing anything. Then on the second last day of Ramadan, while this was still going on, Hemeti um, asked his private military group, the militia, to disperse the people from the army headquarters by any means possible. What followed was the militia group started shooting people who were peacefully sitting in. They started raping people, like women, men, and children. They were going into the capital city. They were like threatening people in their own houses. There were bodies being recovered from the Nile. Like every day. Like it was, and their defense was that they were just trying to be keep security within the country. But really, what they were trying to do is they were trying to stop this peaceful civilian movement from gaining momentum. The most recent thing now is that the protests are slowly getting back together. But over the last 2 weeks, the Sudanese government has cut out the internet from Sudan. So right now, there's no like internet played a big role in the revolution. People were planning like protest through WhatsApp, through social media, videos were spreading like wildfire, like getting more people then to come back in. But then because there's no internet, you're only getting drips and drabs of what's happening in there. So like even we don't even know the full scale of atrocities committed by the actual government. Um, we like we don't know like you can't really organize the same level of protest, and that's kind of what they're hoping for. They're hoping that if they just kind of keep it going small and small, eventually will die down and they can stay in power.
And how has your family been affected? Because I know a lot of them are still currently in Sudan now.
Yeah, so my like a lot of them were living in Sudan. Like my two sisters, my baby brother, and my mom were living there. And my dad went back there for Ramadan. And back when my dad went back there, it was nice. It was peaceful protest. Like he even went to the army headquarters himself. He was singing with the people. And then the second last day of Ramadan, when like started going off, we he was like, all right, we gotta get out of here. So he was able, my two sisters, him and this were able to get out, but my baby brother's passport is actually expired at the moment, so he can't leave the country to go to Ireland, and it's kind of in limbo right now because there's no real postal service that's working. So the application for his Irish passport hasn't even left the Irish consulate in Sudan yet. I'm constantly kind of being worried about my mom, my baby brother, but she kind of keeps telling me that it's actually much, it's easier over there. Like it's not as bad as it looks. Life's going on, it's normal. But obviously, I'd feel much better if they weren't there once
Hmm.
all this is happening.
And can you see kind of an end in sight anytime soon?
For the whole mess that's happening,
Yeah.
um, it's difficult. It's so difficult. Like I had so much hope 2 months ago. I was so close to cause I was so close to flying back to Sudan because it was such a historic moment. Like I began these videos of my sister with like a million people and they're just all singing and like everyone's crying. It's beautiful. And I was like, I need to be there. And I think everyone had that hope that like everything was gonna be okay, everything was gonna be good. It was getting global attention, but now like it feels like there's a strong struggle to get to where we want to be. So I don't know. Like, yeah, I hope it ends well.
Thanks, Emil, for sharing all of that with Oliver Office. I really
Problem.
appreciate it. Any last words?
Yeah, like I'd really like to say thank you for having me on the call, Ian. Like it was good talking to you. It was good talking to the urban media people about Sudan and what's happening. I think you doing this, is a great way to tell people about Sudan. I think Brian should do his part about helping Sudan and give everyone a half day today. I feel like if he doesn't, it would really be bad for Sudan. So, Brian, do your part.
Sick. Thanks, Emil. I love you.
No worries. Bye.